All right, so this is Algebra 1, Lesson 5-5. Today we are talking about advanced elimination. So yesterday we did kind of the scaffolded lesson on how to do today's lesson. And also, I think that's Jose. Who is this? Rename. Yeah, Jose, if you can have your camera on, I'd really appreciate it. And there's Braden. All right,
I
nice. So,
can't because my internet is really bad.
got it. Is it possible to have a profile picture that's you so I can remember that that's you? Today's date is
Okay.
12/4/2020. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, objective is it's basically the title. Just use elimination to solve a system of equations. So whenever we have a system of equations, which is this entire unit, your whole goal in terms of the algebra is the same thing over and over and over again. If you have these two equations down here and you have two variables, I have an x and a y, it's to get this down to one equation with one variable and then solve for that variable. And the way that you do that is you can either use substitution or elimination, depending on which one is easier. So today we're going over the full advanced steps for elimination. I see that the majority of us did the homework last night. So if you weren't able to do it, please make sure that you get caught up over the weekend. And if anyone needs help, I will be available after school today for a little bit. I think today is our first official chess club meeting. Just out of curiosity, how many of you guys are interested in playing a little bit of chess once a week? Seek. No one else? All right, cool. Well,
I
that'll
will
be
put
today.
anyone and everyone at chess.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, that's going to be today in my Zoom room at 1 o'clock.
Could
So,
we potentially do a backgammon club?
I mean, if you get enough people interested in it, then yeah, probably. Sorry, I said 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock because school ends at 1. Get an hour to eat lunch and chill, and then come back at 2 o'clock in my Zoom room. Anyway, coming back to the lesson. We're going to solve this system of equations. I just want to start with the baby steps again. There's not 2 steps. There's not 3 steps. This is just a 1-step problem. Does anyone see what that 1 step is to either add or subtract these 2 equations to get rid of or to eliminate one of the variables with a quiet raised hand? Yeah, Ashley?
Would you add them? That way you could get rid of the x.
Perfect. Yeah, and I like how you explained it too. So the negative 6x and positive 6x, when those are added, the x is gone. There's nothing here. You can say 0 if you want, or you can just leave it blank, which is even easier. And then we have to add the rest of the equation. Can someone else do that for me? If I have negative 9y plus 7y, what do I get with a quiet raised hand? Go for it, Diego.
You'd get negative 2y.
Negative 2y. Perfect. And someone else, 6 plus a negative 10. Giorgio?
Negative 4?
Negative 4. And I'm going to pause here because we've hit our goal. Again, you're always coming back to the same goal. This is the hardest step. How do you get an equation with one variable? Well, we added them and we have one equation because there's only one equal to sign and one variable. There's only a y. There's no x in here. Yay, pat ourselves on the back. Good job. And then we solve, right? So I have negative 2y is equal to negative 4. What am I going to do to both sides to solve for y? Come on, you guys know how to do this. Let's get some new people in here. Haiti, you know how to do this. Go for it.
Divide 2 by both sides.
2. And you get what?
2.
So is the y by itself now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so y is equal to?
Negative 2.
Negative 2, okay. All right, so there is a small error. And Haiti, I see Jose is raising his hand over and over again. Do you want to, can you see your own error, Haiti, or do you want to give it to someone else?
Give it to someone else.
Okay, you can call on either Diego, Ashley, or Jose. They have their hands up. Or Giorgio, sorry, just your hand.
Ashley.
The 2 has to be a negative. And then,
what do you mean by the 2? There's a lot of 2s here. There's that 2, that 2, that 2, that 2.
when it divides on both sides by 2, it should be a negative.
Oh, this should be a negative y.
Because it's a negative 2y.
Yeah, the original coefficient is -2y, so the thing that you divide by should also be -2. Okay, yeah. And then Ashley, what would be a -4 divided by a -2? It's not a positive, or it's not a it's not a -2 anymore. It's a
Positive 2.
+2. Perfect. Cool. We have half of our answer. We need to do the next half. We need to somehow figure out what x is. So I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. Giorgio.
Plug in the y equals 2 into one of the two equations.
All right, which one's your favorite?
The bottom one.
Bottom one? Okay, so I'm gonna put 6x plus 7. Okay, we're gonna be plugging in y, so I'm gonna leave an empty parentheses for that y. This y over here is equal to -10, and then I will write in our new y. This 2 got plugged in right here. All right, we plugged it in. Now what? Someone else. Start calling the same people again. I'd like to get every single person in. Alden, yeah.
U times 7 times 2.
Which is?
It's 14.
14. I'll rewrite the rest of the equation. We have a 6x that's being added to that is equal to a -10. That was too easy of a step for you, Alden. You know the next step too, right, Alden?
U minus 14 from both sides.
-14 on both sides, -14. And just to make sure everyone is following Alden's work, I know we've seen this a few times, but we're using PEMDAS. We're first simplifying both sides, which we've now done by this black step. And now we're going to undo everything to x. So now we're subtracting the 14. So subtract 14. And Alden, read off our new equation before I hand it off to someone else.
It's 6x equals minus 24.
There it is. Thank you. Our last step here to finish off our problem. What are we going to do to both sides with the quiet raised hand? Who have I not heard from today? It has to be either Ripley. Oh, yeah, Braden.
Divide 6 by both sides.
There it is. And the 6 is obviously canceled out. X is equal to what, Braden?
-4.
There it is. -4. So we have both pieces. We can circle both pieces. That was a terrible. It's not even a circle. It's kind of like, I don't even know what shape you'd call that. Some round object. But let's go ahead and say our final answer is -4, comma 2 in parentheses, because the x coordinate is 4, y coordinate is 2, and we box it. Yeah, Jose.
We can call it an oval, something like that.
I guess it was my attempt at an oval. Yeah, it's a terrible oval. Let's call it the terrible oval. Okay, very well. All right, let's do another slightly easy one just to get us in the habit of solving by elimination. There's only one step, nice easy step to solve example number 2. Who has it? I see one hand. I see 2 hands. I see 3 hands. We'll give it to Diego.
Do you subtract the -5y from the other -5y?
Yeah, exactly. So you see that these two match each other. Since they have the same sign, that means they're going to subtract. Oh, what happened there? Let me scroll down and scroll back up, and maybe that'll fix it. There it is. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're going to subtract this entire equation, the second equation, from the first equation. And because subtracting is a little bit harder than addition, instead of subtracting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute a negative into each of these and then add. And you can subtract them and you don't have to do this extra step, but I find by doing this extra step, I make mistakes far, far less often. So if I distribute a negative, it's essentially saying change the sign. So if I distribute into here, I get a plus 5x. If I distribute into here, I get a plus 5y. If I distribute into here, I get a plus 10. And now I can just add them straight down because a -5y plus 5y is going to be a 0. So that's my trick for you guys. Whenever you subtract, just distribute the negative. You'll make errors far less often. I need one volunteer to add all 3 of these terms together. Zeke, go for it.
Negative 7x minus negative 5x or plus 5x would leave you with 2x minus, and then negative 5y minus negative 5y or negative 5y plus 5y equals 0, so you don't need it. So then you negative 24 plus 10 just leaves you with 14 or negative 14.
14. All right. There's a tiny mistake in here. I'm obviously giving it to you for the sake.
It's a
Negative
negative
2x. Exactly. Yeah, because the bigger number here was a negative. Perfect. And then we just have one additional step to solve for x. Need another quiet raised hand to help us out. Ripley, yeah.
Just divide negative 2x from both sides.
Divide by negative 2x. Divide by negative 2x. And what's our new equation then?
It is 7, or I guess x equals 7.
X is equal to 7. So I agree that the correct answer is 7, but the way that you showed your work is a little bit off. Can you see the tiny mistake that you made?
I put x, or I divided with x.
Exactly, yeah. So if technically that could be a mathematical sin. What if x was 0? You just created a black hole. Dividing by 0 is illegal to do in mathematics. So we don't know what the value of x is. Well, we actually do. It's 7. So we were okay to divide by x. But just in case it was 0, we want to make sure we never, ever divide by x. Cool. There it is. Thank you, Ripley. And we're halfway done. What do I do next? We'll start going rapid fire here once we get everyone in. I think I've talked to almost everyone except for Carlos. So eventually, Carlos, you're going to be participating today. You don't have to do it right now, though. Let's give it Alden.
You replace the x with 7 in one of the equations.
Perfect. Which one's your favorite?
The bottom one.
Okay. Do you want to choose the bottom one after we distributed or before we distributed? Both of them are the same.
After.
After. I like the positive numbers too. Okay. So we have that 5, the positive 5, and then x is right here, which we're going to be substituting out. So 5, and then there's my empty parentheses, plus 5y is equal to that positive 10. And again, we plugged in that 7 in for the place of x. All right, thank you, Alden. Now what? Yeah, Giorgio?
Multiply 7 by 5, so 35.
35, perfect. I'll rewrite the rest of the equation. 5 plus 5y is equal to 10. That was too easy for you, Giorgio. Do one more step for us, please.
Okay. Subtract 35 from 10, so you get negative 25? That's a guess, but I believe it's negative 25.
Okay, we'll leave it up to the class, see if they... I'm always hoping that when there's a mistake raised, I'll try to pause and let someone else find it. I know I could be better about waiting. But
Yeah.
if you see errors in my work or in other students' work, please raise your hand and let us know. And I don't see anyone raising their hand. We must be correct. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite that.
5y is equal to negative 25.
There it is. All right, thank you. I'm going to give it to someone else just for our final step. Ooh, this is a perfect time for Carlos. Carlos, ¿qué vamos a hacer? What are we going to do?
¿Cuál es nuestro siguiente paso?
Carlos, ¿estás aquí?
Solo estoy en el baño.
Okay. We can come back to you and get your participation later. Someone else, yeah, Diego, go for it.
You divide by 5 on both sides, which would be y equals -5.
There it is. And go ahead and write our answer in the coordinate form. You could write it as 7 comma -5. I know Khan Academy typically writes it as just what is X, what is Y. So you could just write it like we had over here. I guess I really shouldn't box this answer. Boxing is for our final answer. I'll just do Mr. Sandell's terrible oval. Those are 2 key pieces. All right, those were easy. Let's do something harder. So this one requires at least 2 steps, maybe 3, we'll see. Example number 3. I'm looking. I don't see any numbers that match. Like 9 and 3 aren't the same number. 4 and nothing. I guess it's a 1, right? Those don't match. So I need to multiply 1 or 2 of these equations by something in order to match them. And then after I match them, I can either add or subtract. What do I do here? I see a bunch of hands. Yeah, Zeke.
Oh, I'm on mute. So you would multiply your bottom equation by -3, and that would leave you with -9x plus -3y equals. I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, it's going to be a big number, and we can figure that out together. So essentially multiplying everything down here by -3. I have a question for you, Zeke. Why did you choose -3 instead of +3?
Because if I did +3, then that would be a +9. Oh, I could do +3 though.
Yeah, I think +3 might be even easier because then we can just add them together instead of subtracting. I personally like adding, but if you like subtracting more, then yeah, definitely go multiply
I
everything
just
by
did
-3.
negative because that one was a negative, and
Oh, you wanted to match them exactly? Yeah, okay, that works too. Yeah, either way works. I think it's slightly easier for us to just multiply by +3 in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. Well, I'm not going to. I'm going to have someone help me do that. You already told us the first 2 pieces. You said 3 times 3 was 9. So we have 9x, 3 times 3y, you told us was 3y. And then we need to figure out together 3 times 28. So we just come off to the side, say 28 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. So carry the 2. 2 times 3 over here is 6. Add the 2, we get 8. And that should be a +84. All we did right there, distributing the 3, which means we've kind of used up this equation. We might want to use it for plugging things back in, but kind of cover this up. We don't really use this yet. I might delete this line later for our next step, but really what we have right now is 2 equations. First equation and second equation that's been modified. Now what? Yeah, Diego.
So now you would just cancel out the 9x's because they cancel out.
What are you doing? Are you adding or are you subtracting to get those canceled out?
I'm adding.
Adding the 2 equations. Okay, yeah, and I agree. By adding them, they do cancel out, so I'm left with nothing here. So I'll just ignore it. And then what do I do next?
You add 3y to 4y, which you would get 7y. And then you would add 84 to -14, which would be 70.
70. Thank you. And hey, look, I always give ourselves a pat on the back when we accomplish our goal. Yes, we did do everything correct up to this point because we got 1 equation with 1 variable, and we might have made a tiny mistake along the way, but I think we're good so far. So good job, pat on the back, guys. So 1 equation, 1 variable, which means we just need to solve now. And this is a nice equation. So what do we do? What do we do to both sides? Yeah, Ashley?
You can divide by 7.
Divide by 7, divide by 7. And that gives us our final y equals what?
10.
10. There it is. Okay, that's 1 piece. We'll do a terrible oval around that. And I do something else now. Okay, so now that I've used up this equation, I kind of want to bring it back. I'm going to go ahead and delete that line so we can see what that was, because I think that might be an easier thing to plug into just because the numbers are smaller, but maybe you like the first equation too. I don't know. All right, next step. Someone please help. I'll call on someone other than Diego. He just helped me. Sure, yeah, Giorgio.
Wait, do we use the original equation or do we use the one with the 9x plus the
You
one
can
that's
use
already?
any of these three. They'll all work. Every single equation is going to be an answer.
Okay, so I'll use the 9x, the bottom one, far bottom. So
This one, all right.
plus 3 in parentheses the 10 that we already have, and then it will be equal to 84, and 3 times 10 is 30.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and write it down. Still have that 9x. 3 times 10, you said was 30. And we still have that equal to 84. All right. Nice. Thanks for doing those 2 steps. All right. What are we doing now? All right, Diego. Yes, you've been waiting patiently.
You would subtract 30 from both sides, which would end up being 54.
And what's that last step, Diego?
You would divide 9 by both sides, on both sides, which would get x equals 6.
There it is. We'll put a terrible overall around that, and then we'll do 6, 10, final answer with parentheses to let you know it's a coordinate pair. And we box it. There it is. We've done 3 examples for elimination. Those first 3 examples are the first homework assignment that you have. Now let's talk about the harder ones. So the harder ones are going to look like example 4 and 5 for the second assignment. Let's try this. And I can zoom out and show you what we've done so far, where we're going. All right. So example number 4. We're going to solve this one. And I will just give you the heads up. Example 4 and example 5 are the hardest that I can ask because they require at least 3 steps. That means you need to multiply the first equation by something and the second equation by something. And then after you do all that multiplication, you either add or subtract. Hopefully, if you've done everything right, you can just add them because that's easier than subtracting. All right, so this is your thinking time. I want at least like half the class to know what to multiply the first equation by and second equation by. That's kind of the prep lesson that we did last night. We'll give it to Alden.
You could divide the first one by 3 and the second one by 4, so you can get the y to 12.
So did you say divide? So divide the whole first equation by 3?
I mean times.
Okay, so if you, but you're trying to get to 12, right? So didn't you mean the first equation by 4?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so multiply the first equation by 4 to get this 12 or negative 12y, multiply the second equation by 3 to get a positive 12y. This is perfect. And this is one of the 2 easiest ways of doing this. So just to make sure that everyone can follow, the general way that you can solve this, if you just pick a variable, in this case, Alden picked y. If you look at the y's, this has a 4, this has a 3, multiply by the reverse of that. So if this top equation has a 3, multiply the bottom equation by 3. If this bottom equation has a 4, multiply the top equation by 4. You will always eliminate that variable that you're looking at. For example, I could have also looked at 7 and said, okay, multiply the top equation by 7. Look at the negative 5. Okay, multiply the bottom. Well, I guess it's just really a 5. Multiply the bottom equation by 5. 7 and 5 and 4 and 3, those both would work. The 7 and 5 would eliminate the x's. The 4 and 3 would eliminate the y's. So we're just going to go with Alden's answer, but that's the general way that you want to solve these. Just multiply by the other number that for the variable that you're trying to eliminate. So Alden, you're going to have to help me. When you distribute this 4 into this first equation, all of these numbers are being multiplied by 4. So times 4, times 4, times 4. What is our new equation? I think I'm just going to do it off to the right-hand side over here. I'm going to do an arrow that says, okay, this turns into what?
Minus 20. No. minus 20x minus 12y equals minus 4.
Okay. Yeah, Giorgio.
I think I might see a problem.
Okay.
The-
What do you see?
When you multiply the -4 by the 4, it should be -16.
Oh, okay. Do you agree, Alden? I'll just go ahead and say yes. It should be -16. Yeah. Good catch. Thank you. Perfect. And I need a second volunteer. Can we distribute the 3 into the 7, 4, or 7x, 4y, and 5? All 3 of these. So distribute this one as well. Chunk, chunk, chunk. Yeah, Diego.
It would be negative 21x.
Wait, -21?
Oh no, I mean positive 21x. Sorry, I got a little
Okay.
confused. Positive 21x. And then plus no, times 4, which would be 12y. Then multiply it by 5, it would be 15. 15.
There it is. Yeah, thank you. All right, cool. So I think we've multiplied these correct, but I just waiting on hands. No one shows me anything. Okay, we must have done it correct then. What do we do now? We've done 2 steps, and we have to do our third step to hit that goal of getting one equation with one variable. What do I do now? Carlos, ¿estás listo para hacer la próxima piso o el próximo piso?
Sí.
Ok. ¿Qué vamos a hacer?
Espérame.
¿Vamos a sumar estas 2 ecuaciones o menos?
Menos.
Not quite. So, para
Sum-
estos necesitamos sumar porque
Okay.
menos 2, ¿es it 12? No,
Sí, 12.
12, menos 12 más 12 es 0. So, no hay un Y, no, I
Okay,
say
no,
Y.
sí.
Okay, so we're gonna add, y Carlos, necesitamos tu ayuda. Menos 20x más 21x es
20 menos 2. No. Es-
o 21 menos 20 es
21 menos 20 es 1.
1, sí. 1 x, y no tenemos este variable, I don't know how to say. Así nunca
Ah.
está aquí. Y 15 menos 16
Menos 1.
menos
Oh,
1.
Sí.
There it is. Oh, and then we're done. Yeah, x is -1. Gracias.
Okay.
All right, what do we do next, class? Yes, Diego.
We now substitute this x in for one of the problems.
Yes, which one
chose-
is your favorite?
I chose the bottom one because it's all positive.
So
So it'd be
7.
7 times 1 plus. Wait, would I use the bottom equation, the original bottom equation, or the one we kind of made?
Whichever one is easiest. All 4 of them will work.
I'll use the original one. Be 7 times 1 plus 4y equals 5.
Ooh, did you say 1 or -1?
No, -1.
Okay. Perfect.
It would be -7 plus 4y equals 5. So you would add 7 to both sides. And get 4y equals 12. Then you divide by both sides. You divide both sides by 4 to get y equals 3.
And there's our second piece. There it is. So together, -1, comma 3. That coordinate pair is our final answer. Good job, guys. And that was a hard problem, and we solved it all. I think that's our first time probably ever, well, unless you've taken Algebra 1 before. I think 2 of you have, doing this type of problem. Nice. All right, let's try it again. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and do the hardest piece, I think, with you guys, and then I'm going to let you try to solve. Oh, we only have 2 minutes. We're just going to solve together, and I'm going to have to go a little bit quicker through this. Sorry, I didn't give you any time to do homework, and I feel bad about that. The most important question is, what do we multiply these 2 equations by in order to eliminate one of the variables? So again, your strategy should be just pay attention to either the x, only the x's, and ignore everything else, or only the y's and ignore everything else. What are you going to multiply both equations by? I'm going to give at least 30 seconds more thinking time, and I'm going to rush through the rest. You guys have to get this down. This is the hardest piece of today's lesson. I promise 30 seconds. I can only give 20. All right, what do we do, Zeke?
So to get rid of, or to solve for x, you would have 7 times 6, leaving you with -14x plus 14 plus 42y equals -84. Bottom equation would be -54x plus 42y equals -84. Again, solve those or subtract those. And once you get that, you have 40x equals 0. Divide each side by 40. You're left with x equals 0. For y, you would multiply the top by 9, the bottom by 2. You'd have, for the top equation, -18x plus 54y equals -108. And then for the bottom equation, you would have -18x plus 14y equals -28. Subtract those, you're left with 40y equals -80. Divide each side by 40, you're left with y equals -2. And then put 0 is your x, comma, -2 for your y, and that's your answer.
That is impressive. Use elimination twice in order to find your x, and then elimination again instead of substituting back in. That is impressive. We're out of time today, but yeah, the answer is 0, comma, -2. That is awesome that you use elimination twice. And you are correct. Yeah, good job. So the rest of us that weren't able to follow that mental math, I highly recommend just multiplying the top equation by 7, bottom equation by -6. That should eliminate your y's. You could eliminate the x's as well just by multiplying by a 9 and -2 if you would like. But that would be my first step. And I need you guys to solve this for your homework on top of doing the homework. And you guys are dismissed. Thank you, guys.
I'm Mr. Sindel.
Bye, Mr. Sindel. Thank you. See you Monday.
Yep, see you Monday. Have a nice weekend, guys.